Remember, I used to subscribe to this mindset that, the harder things are, the closer you'll be to God, because He's breaking you and He's making sure that you are always dependent on Him. Because when you're constantly going through good times or you have prosperity, you won't need Him as much. So then you won't be as close to Him as He wants.
But He's breaking you just enough to make you dependent.
Wow.
So that when He does lift.
Imagine having a parent who does that. A parent who watches you go through so much and through so much suffering, and he doesn't do anything. Instead, he allows it so that he can break you just enough that you will always be dependent on him. And that's his way of building intimacy with you. Imagine a parent who does that. Is that not abuse? Is that not emotional abuse? Like, why is that okay? Like, that's one thing I never understood. And I remember I used to subscribe to this mindset that, the harder things are, the closer you'll be to God, because He's breaking you and He's making sure that you are always dependent on Him. Because when you're constantly going through good times or you have prosperity, you won't need Him as much. So then you won't be as close to Him as He wants. As a God, all-powerful being, why do you need that? Why do you need our dependency? So much so that you will allow us to suffer needlessly just so you can have us crawling on our knees to you and begging you for help and begging and pleading with you to help us and deliver us from whatever horrible thing we're going through. And as a father, you think that's a good thing. Guys, this is the God. This is the God that we are supposed to worship and trust. Would you trust your own father, your own human father who did that to you? Like, why is that okay? Why are we letting... Guys, what the fuck, man?
All of this unhealthy relationship that we have with our parents as Black children stems from our Christian background. Whether we want to admit this or not, as Black people, our bond with Christianity comes from the trauma which white people put us through. So we shouldn't be surprised when our Black parents subconsciously adhere to religious behavior which are normalizing violence, because that is the way Christianity was introduced to us in the first place. The God that we subscribe to is narcissistic and manipulative. Are we then surprised when we see his followers behaving as such? Because the way you would describe this God comes from the trauma, comes from this abusive relationship that you don't know how to get out of. So yes, our parents will continue to do this as long as they're under the bondage of Christianity, because 99.9% of them believe that there's nothing wrong with it. You cannot, as a Black person, expect love from the God that was indoctrinated into your brain through brutality. In fact, they did all of that to your ancestors, and now you inherited their trauma. And we even do it automatically. We don't question nothing, because questioning things in this society means that you won't get to this promised eternity, So you would rather voluntarily put yourself through harm, including those around you, to get to eternity. Because once you don't do that, you will not experience the closeness of God. Isn't it what they did to us through colonization and apartheid to get closer to whiteness? Through trauma, through brutality, isn't it? Even in the so-called democracy, they are starving us economically so that we can get closer to whiteness, closer to this God, all being, almightyful. How are we then surprised that our parents are trying to attain this white God's favor? Because there's no way in your brain you imagine the God that looks like you. No way. No way, bruh. No way. I want you to understand something crystal clear. We live in a system that cares about color. There's a reason why your God looks like you and does not look like me. Would you be able to kneel down to a black God? Would you be able to sit in a church and worship a God that looks like me? And you don't even have to answer me on that one. You can answer yourself. The first answer that you gave to yourself within your heart, that is the answer that answers the next question, why I shouldn't be able to forget the past. You see, with me, I'm not stupid. I can see underlining condescending tone from a mile away, even when it comes off as non-offensive, as complimentary. I'll forever care about my past. Imagine me telling you your past is irrelevant. Imagine growing up in this world, not knowing anything about yourself, and your parent says to you, the past is irrelevant. For as long as I'm alive, I would make it my mission to studying white people. Because one thing about you is the perception that you have given me. I want my own perception about you.